So in this lesson we're going to look at shape tweening. Now shape tweening is another form of tweening like the motion tween used before. It is a little bit different in how you use it. So for this we're going to keep it very simple, and we're just going to create two tasks. So the first is a 5 light display just using ovals, and then the second is going to be a full-on light display for some kind of sign, like a hotel sign or something like that. So the idea with shape tweening is it effortlessly merges between things. So it can be a shape from like a circle going into a rectangle, or it can be as simple as a color going into another color. So we'll start by just looking at how the colors go into another color, and we'll look at some of the things that may cause you a few issues. So let's create another folder inside of our Adobe Animate project folder. We're going to create lesson 4 shape tweening. And then we've got these two here, which I'll show you in just a second. So we'll come into here, let's create our first HTML5 canvas, and let's save this straight away as color change. So let's make sure we're in the proper folder. So shape tweening, and let's just call it color change. Oops. Okay, so in the stop frame motion lesson we did look at color changing, but this is a little bit different because it allows you to glide between colors, which is really cool. One of the downsides is that once you set up your canvas, that's the way it's got to stay. So for instance, I'm going to set up 5 ovals here. So I'm just going to create this one here, and I'm going to press Ctrl C and Ctrl V to paste it. And I'm just going to do this randomly for a sec because I want to show you something else. Control V to do another one. Control V to do another one. Now, let's just select all these first. So we've got 4 at the moment, and we're just going to come into our align panel. And what I want you to do is distribute them. Now, at the moment, we've got this align to stage button checked. So just uncheck that. And the first distribution we need to do is make sure they are centered. That was fairly easy. And then the next one is to distribute them out so the gaps between them are exactly the same. So there we go. Now we've distributed them out, and that's absolutely brilliant. So the next thing I want to do is just put them closer to the center. So we're just going to move them as close to the center as we want. Now we've got 4 lights, and this is absolutely brilliant. So we're just going to create our frames now. So let's just create a frame here. So when we right click and we say insert keyframe, what this does is it creates a completely new keyframe. So if I then click here and say change this light, and then let's just change this one, let's change all of them. Let's just make them really different. So the first thing you're going to notice is that this is going to be identical to what we did with the stop frame motion. Or let's just change that one. Change that to pink. It's going to be identical to the stop frame, so it goes from that and then it goes to this one. But we want to use a thing called shape tweening. So over here on our first keyframe, which runs all the way from 1 all the way to 19, not including this last frame because that's the change, we just want to right click and we want to use the option that says create shape tween. Now what this will do is it will color it it will color it green with this line through the middle, and then you'll notice that we have these changes. So if I glide the playhead now through them, you'll notice that it seamlessly changes, which is absolutely brilliant. And that you can't get from stop motion. It would take far too long. And this is where tweening comes in really useful. But let's show you a few things that might cause you a bit of problem. So the first one, if we move it, shouldn't cause you any problem. It should just show a glide all the way up. So, but as you can see, it does do all of that motion tweening and shape tweening in one go. So be very aware of that. The next problem, if I press on this frame here, so this frame here has 4, this frame here is now going to have 5. So if I just deselect everything and then press Ctrl V, and then I just put this down here, doesn't matter, you'll think it's going to be okay because you got this and you got this. But what happens is it does a kind of a morphing technique which really freaks it out. And if you had multiple of these colors which you set up on this frame, it would really just go crazy. So look at that, the way it goes into 3 and 4 can cause you a lot of problems. So just be very aware of that. And if you started to change the shape, it would just cause all kinds of problems later on. So what I'm trying to say is that when you set up your initial frame here, make sure you don't add any more options for this particular color frame, color changing thing. Okay, let's do that again. Let's change the colors again. So let's just move them, let's just go to frame 40, and then we right click and we insert keyframe, and notice we've got these blank again. So let's just move these ones down back to roughly where they were, and let's just change the colors again, and you can change the line color if you want as well. I'm going to do some grays this time, so let's do some grays there, let's do a blue there, another gray, and then let's do some kind of green. Okay, so now it goes like that. Okay, same as what you would get if you had stop motion, and then we have our tweening here. So let's add another shape tween here. So right click and then click on the one that says shape tween, and now you have all of those lovely colors doing all of those changes. And you can do this as many times as you want. What we're really looking for is just the color change. So don't worry too much about moving the objects, just look at the color change. So that is task 1, just a 4 or 5 light display that just changes color maybe a couple of times. Then you want to go File, and then you want to export, and then you want to export as video. I'm not going to show you this again because we've shown it in the last few videos, so if you want to see how to export a video, just go back to those ones. Okay, your next task, so that's task 1, make sure you export it as a video. Task 2 then is to create a sign, some kind of hotel sign, some kind of light display neon sign if you like. You can reference online for the one you want. So this one here is used cars and neons. You can make the used cars flash, and then you could make all these lights. Now the one thing I would say to you guys is make sure you set up all of the elements on your very first frame that you need. If you start adding elements in future frames, you will get all crazy kinds of morphing shapes, so be very aware of that. So something like this where the arrow just kind of glides through would be cool. Another one that might be slightly easier is this one here where the lights just turn on and off, which is really cool. So you can just have various lights turning on and off, just like a light bulb effect. So that is your second task. So get that completed, and I'll see you in the next lesson.